All right, good morning and welcome back to the 55 Buick build, the POS special build. It's actually turning into less of a POS every day, which is pretty cool. So, with the trunk pan in, I get to cut a... With the trunk pan done, now I get to cut a hole in it. Wonderful, right? Okay. So anyway, let me get the gas tank, show you what we're going to do. Okay, so there's the gas tank I'm going to use. As I explained in the previous video, that is a gas tank from a 95 or 94, around there, LT1 Roadmaster wagon. The reason I'm using it is because I had it, because I did a bunch of LT1 swaps over the years, and I ended up with some gas tanks from the donor vehicles. The other reason is it's a side fill, which is what I want because the gas filler door on these cars is on the side. And then the other reason is, of course, because it's for fuel injection. And it has the pan inside to keep fuel around the pump pickup. I don't know if it's good enough for real high performance use. If I have to keep it half tank or more, we'll see. If that's the case, I'll run a surge tank. But for now, I'm just going to install this tank. Plans are to put in a single 450 pump on the factory sending unit. Put bulkhead fittings on the sending unit, and I'm going to run 8 AN feed and a 6 AN return up to the factory rails. That has been something that's been bouncing around in my head for quite a while, what size fuel lines to run. But I think that'll be a good size to run. So 8 AN for the feed and 6 for the return. And let's get started on the fuel system and get this tank in. Okay, I've got the tank up on the stands, obviously. And last couple cars I put this tank in, I actually centered the tank in the car. But in this one, I'm actually going to offset it to the driver's side. It's just going to work out better. I can actually modify the factory wagon filler. Will work in this location with some mods, which is cool. And it'll give a little room on the passenger side for the exhaust. Since this is a turbo, it'll be a single exhaust going out that side. And I think that'll work out just fine. It won't help me in the future if I run duals with a different engine, but this is how it's going to be. So if I run duals in the future, it'll just be a 2-into-1 or something. But as fun as I think the turbo will be, I don't plan on going non-turbo. But that I'm not going to promise, because who knows? I've seen too many videos with guys blowing their stuff up. So we'll try to avoid that if we can. But I think I'm going to go with this. So now what I'm going to do is I got to mark where that bump is on the tank and cut the hole for the vapor dome in the top of the tank. And this tank's going to go up another couple inches. So let me get some measurements and cut a big hole in the trunk I just fixed. Okay, so what I've done is I made a cardboard template years ago that I saved, which is an approximate of the hole I'm going to need for this dome. It's a little small, which is good because I don't want to try to get it 100% on a blind cut. So we'll cut a hole with this, put the tank up in there, and then mark it for final trimming. So at my template, I drilled a couple holes in, and I had marked the center line on the floor where I want this to be. And I'm gonna mark those holes. Then I'm going to drill the holes and move the template to the top. Drill bit's going bad. Okay, I just put my template in their trunk, lined up to the holes I drilled from the bottom, and traced it. And there's the big old hole I got to cut in this thing. So, we'll get that cut out and see how close I was. All right, time for surgery. And now I have a big hole in my pristine floor. Oh well, that's just how it goes. All right. Now, see how close that is for final trimming. So I'm going to put the jack under the car, a floor jack with the gas tank, and raise it up and see what it looks like. Okay, there's the big hole. So, there's the big hole in the trunk. Looks good, except for the fact that I'm running into something I haven't dealt with before, again, because of the turbo. Normally, when I run these tanks, I use a factory sending unit. Fuel lines come up and go down in this trough, and they're out to the front, and I connect to them, no big deal. But because I'm going to put the bulkheads and 90-degree fittings into the factory sending unit, I assume it's going to sit higher. And this is not going to be enough of a gap for the AN braided hoses. You know, 3/8 steel get through there no problem, but the AN8 OD, I think it'll be a little tight. So it's either make a raised section here to get out to the front, or maybe lower the tank an inch to get some extra space, which wouldn't be a killer. So I think what I need to do is go to breakfast and think about it. Okay, after taking the pups for their morning ride and getting something to eat for breakfast, I have decided that I'm going to lower the tank 1 inch, which will put it right where it is there. And I will make the mounts, get the tank mounted, and in the meantime, I will order the bulkhead fittings and AN fittings for the fuel lines and get the sending unit set up. And that will let me know if I'm going to have to open up anything in this area. There's plenty of room underneath. I just don't know how flexible the fuel line is. I got to get it. on order and see if it's in, you know, if there's enough room to flex it and get under that. Otherwise, I'll just make a extension on this cut and raise it up out there a little bit, put a bubble in it or something. In the end, it'll all be covered. What I usually do is when I put these bumps in the trunk, that's where my spare tire mount is. So there'll be a spare tire right over top of this thing, and you don't lose any space. So plenty of room for whatever you're going to carry in this thing. You know, if we go to Tractor Supply or Harbor Freight or Home Depot or whatever, got to throw stuff in the trunk, so got to have room. So I'm going to get the car in the air and get the mounts made for the trunk. Not for the trunk. Get the mounts made for the gas tank. Get it right. Okay, once again, use what you got. So I need to make a couple braces or spacers to weld to the bottom of the trunk floor to move the tank down. And I'm going to make replacements. I'm not going to use the ones that were in the car. They're actually not deep enough. I'm going to go an inch. Those were about 3/4. So once again, here's some scrap steel I have laying around that actually has a bend on one side of an inch, nothing on the other. I don't have a bender with enough beef to bend this. So what I'm going to do is I marked it 1 1/8 inches down, and I'm going to cut halfway through the metal with a cutoff wheel, and then I'll be able to fold it up and I can put some tack welds on it and it'll be bent straight, and I won't kill myself doing it, trying to bend heavy metal that I don't have a bender for. Really have to get it straight. There you go. Piece of C-channel that didn't exist before. Nice and easy. Plenty strong. I don't even think I have to weld that. That's beefy, but I'll do it anyway. I'll just grind a little bit there. A few tack welds. We got a brace. Make one more and put them in. All right, the mounts are in. They are welded in there good. It was a bit of a pain because of the tar on the the factory tar undercoating kept catching fire and going everywhere, so that was quite entertaining. But they're in, and I welded some 3/8 bolts on the back of each brace to hang straps from to mount the tank. So we're moving right along. I think the underside is going to be pretty much done for now until I can get my fittings so I know how high to make the other piece, the cover for the center. But I'm going to clean up the edges and undercoat this whole underside here, get that off the list. And then after my fittings come in, get the tank up in there and make the cover for the sending unit. Alrighty, we are done with the gas tank mounts. Hooray! One thing off the list. All right, well, hell, let's rephrase that. All right, we are done with the gas tank spacers
and the studs on the back for the straps. So we're well on our way to getting this tank installed. I have to wait until I get my AN fittings before I can make the final piece of the trunk there to cover it all up. So we'll continue when I get those fittings, and we'll see you then.